I almost don't believe it myself, but the day is finally here. My very red F-150 Lightning has just arrived, meaning I now have two electric pickup trucks in my driveway, and I'm going to need to decide at some point which one I'm going to keep. In this video, I'm going to talk about what I got on my F-150 Lightning, why I got it, and purchase process, etc. So let's just dive right on in. This very red model is a Lariat trim. I looked at the Platinum. The Platinum honestly was too expensive. And to be perfectly honest, the one I really wanted is the one that you and I can't get. It would be the absolute base model with the big battery pack. Now, in hindsight, I kind of wish I had ordered the absolute base version of the F-150 Lightning because I think that would have been a better fit for me, to be honest. Now, why didn't I choose the base model? Well, that had to do with more YouTube calculations than personal preferences. You see, the folks I knew inside Ford had said publicly that the first models to be slated for production would be Platinum and Lariat models. So not wanting to tip my hand that we were going to pre-order one, I just went with what they had said publicly and put an order in for this very red Lariat trim because theoretically this was one of the ones that was going to be produced first. And indeed, this one was produced in May of 2022. It has one of the earliest production dates for an F-150 Lightning. Rather unfortunately, some of the shipping troubles in the United States for new cars plagued this model, and it got stuck in Michigan and then somewhere between Michigan and here for quite a long time. The base version of the F-150 Lightning wouldn't have been quite as pretty. It has a different front end, it doesn't have this light bar, has a different back end as well. But I like the theory of the approximately $40,000 work truck, and I probably could have made it work with just that short range. It wouldn't have been a replacement for my regular tow vehicle, but it could have taken over much of those towing needs. Now, the reason I didn't choose that one again was simply the timing, and the reason I didn't choose the base model with the big battery pack is because I'm not a fleet operator and I'm not buying 25 or more F-150 Lightnings. And you do have to have a basically a fleet account number. You have to be a fleet customer of Ford's to get that base model with the bigger battery. If you don't do that, you have to step up in the ladder, get the next trim level up, add that battery pack and a whole bunch of other stuff. And effectively the base price for the big battery is not too far off this Lariat. So if you want the 320 miles of range, you have to get something that's a lot more expensive than that theoretically $40,000 base model. Keep that in mind. All right, now it is window sticker disclosure time. So what did I get on this truck? Well, this is the F-150 Lightning Lariat 4x4 Super Crew. This one has the $10,000 Equipment 511A package on it, which is the Lariat package with the Ford Copilot Active 2.0 system. That's Blue Cruise on there. The partitioned lockable storage, the tow technology package, the onboard scales with smart hitch, and the twin pane moonroof. The tow technology package and the onboard scales were something that I really wanted on this truck. Now, in Ford's truck lineup, you can get the onboard scales in various different trims, but packaging with the Lightning and the way options are slotted in there is a little bit different than the rest of the F-150 lineup, so definitely keep that in mind. This one then has the Max Trailer Tow Package, which is an $825 option that has extra cooling for the motors, so it's not just upgraded suspension or something like that. There is a mechanical difference under the hood of the vehicle. They give it a second air conditioning compressor, and that other air conditioning compressor's job is simply to cool the drivetrain components in the pickup truck. Then this one also has the spray-in bed liner, and that brought the total price to $79,389. And then we have a destination and delivery charge. So I'll just bring that up here to the camera so you can see that. That brings us up to this total right here, $81,148. Outside of manufacturers like Tesla and Rivian and some of the startups that have fixed pricing and no dealer network, obviously the big topic with EVs and any hot vehicle right now is what's the dealer markup? Well, that is kind of an interesting story. So I was told that, hey, my vehicle was slotted for production, it was actually produced, etc. I got all excited, I logged into the Ford portal, and this is the point where dealers have the option of putting in whether or not there's going to be an additional markup on the vehicle, an ADM. I signed into the portal, this truck said $10,000 ADM, and I got really shocked. So this is the point where Ford all of a sudden knew that I had purchased this pickup truck, because I called the dealer and they said, oh yeah, we're putting $10,000 markups on all the trucks. Now, this was my fault in a way, because when I pre-ordered the Lightning, I was in a super duper rush to try and be one of the very first people to get my pre-order in, and I accidentally put in the wrong dealer. You can see that this one ended up being shipped to Frontier Ford right down there. I actually meant to ship it to Fremont Ford and have them do my order, because Fremont Ford and a number of Ford dealers around the US have pledged no dealer markup. And that's really the key thing to know here, is that you can find lists online with dealers all across the United States, Ford dealers and other dealers, that have pledged to not have dealer markup on original pre-orders. So if you're the pre-order holder, you did it, and you're actually picking up the vehicle, they will pledge to not have a markup on the vehicle. This dealer was not among them, I have to say. So I started squawking a little bit and to the dealer, etc., and the dealer agreed to remove the markup. I also called up some of the folks I know at Ford and said, is there anything that can be done about this one? What can we do about the markup? They called and they said that the dealer assured them that was a mistake, and that for the early order holders, they weren't going to do that. So if you have any experience with Frontier Ford, I would love to know down there in the comment section. Because the story that I was given was that Frontier Ford was also saying that they would not charge additional dealer markup on original orders only. However, I cannot verify this. And what makes me a little bit suspicious is this little bitty sticker that I found in the glove compartment when I went and picked up my truck. And as you'll see right down here at the bottom, there isn't a $10,000 markup. There's a $15,000 markup on this truck, $96,179. That was hanging out in the glove box, but I did not pay that. I did just pay MSRP, which for this truck was $81,148. So that's what this truck actually went out the door for, in case you're wondering. While we're talking about finances, I'll answer a question that a lot of you had. How is it that I have a Lightning and the Rivian R1T and the EV6 at the same time? The answer is loans, obviously. These are owned by the company that owns Alex & Auto's and EV Buyer's Guide. Actually, I should say my company that owns Alex & Auto's and EV Buyer's Guide. So the company has lines of credit with our bank at very low interest rates, and that's basically what's going on with these trucks, which is exactly why they cannot stick around long term. So none of these vehicles is going to be around in a year from now. I assume one of them might be the Lightning, it might be the Rivian, but it's not going to be all three. Absolutely, positively not, because the loan's going to have to get paid off, and it's going to have to get paid off by the sale of these vehicles. So that's what's going on there. Going for a quick look around, you can see that this has the dark gray, sort of navy blue really, in some light interior here. The dual glove box setup that's pretty typical in all Ford interiors, and the rest of the interior really is just F-150 here, except for this big touch screen in the middle, which has basically been ripped right out of the Ford Mustang Mach-E. The ability to fold down the center armrest and use it as a work surface is something that I honestly scoffed at in the regular F-150. I find it a little bit awkward to work on your laptop with this setup going on here. But Ford designed that as a work truck feature. Interestingly, it works really well as an EV feature, because if you're at the DC fast charge station for 45 minutes or an hour, that is way more convenient than any other vehicle out there with a center console that just normally has things that stick up. In my opinion, these wheels are some of the more attractive aero wheels available on the F-150. Let me know what you think about that. The tires are 275/60 R20s, which means they are a little bit smaller wheel than the ones that we find over here on the Rivian. These are 275/55 R21s, and these have aero covers, as you can see right there. No aero covers on the Ford. It's just an aero design right from the factory. If we pop open the front trunk, we find the dual voltage EVSE that is included with the vehicle. Now, since this vehicle has the extended range battery pack, there is another EVSE that's included with the vehicle, the 80 amp one. Apparently that's shipped separately. Things are a little bit sketchy on all the details just yet. It appears that's shipped separately. Interesting surprise, the dealer included a J1772 to Tesla adapter. This is something that I had not expected, because this obviously does not fit the Ford. This is kind of a nice touch for them to do, however. This allows you to charge a Tesla with the Ford charge cable. Apparently in the area where Frontier Ford is, a lot of folks have a Tesla in the family already, so they want you to be able to use the Ford charger with your Tesla rather than the other way around. I was kind of surprised it wasn't a Tesla tap, probably because that's a little bit cheaper. That's kind of a surprising thing to find. Other interesting twist, they gave me a twist lock 30 amp connector right there, so that way you can plug this Ford adapter into a 30 amp outlet if you have one hanging out at home or at the office. Some of you might laugh at this adapter and say, why on earth would anybody need this? But I have to admit that I have one of those right there in my driveway right now anyway, because I am the demographic that uses one. As you can see, the Lightning's first task was to pick up some pallets and crates that were hanging out at the office that were taken home for a different garden project. And oddly enough, I noticed my first software bug today. It seems difficult to charge this vehicle beyond 90% unless the vehicle is below 90%. So if it's plugged into a charger and the battery is at 80%, you can go through 90 all the way to 100. But if the battery is at 91 or 92 or 95%, etc., and you plug it in, it doesn't seem to want to charge to 100%, whether it's on an AC station or a DC station. Not entirely clear what's going on there, but I have to say that the F-150 Lightning Platinum that we had 2 weeks ago did the exact same thing. So if you've had that problem in your Lightning, I would love to hear from you down there as well. Well, that's it for now. If you want to know how the F-150 Lightning holds up, how it compares against the Rivian R1T, hit that subscribe button down there at the bottom of your screen. Coming up, you are going to see a number of F-150 Lightning versus Rivian videos that were done against the Platinum model, but I'm probably going to do some of them against this Lariat. The big reason for that is that if you're buying a Rivian R1T now, if you're one of the early pre-order holders, this is less expensive than the Lightning, and that's an important difference. So this Lightning was about $81,000. The Rivian was about $5,000 less expensive. And the Platinum version of the F-150 Lightning, which feature-wise is actually closer to the Rivian is more of a luxury truck, I would say, than the F-150. It's definitely going to be a lot more expensive than the Rivian, again, if you're an early pre-order holder for both. If you aren't and you're buying these on the used market, then really anything goes and the prices are absolutely bonkers right now. Both the Rivian and this F-150 Lightning seem to be going for around $100,000 to $115,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. That's absolutely insane. At this point, no doubt some of you are thinking, well, hang on, you stand to make a lot of money if you bought these for their MSRP and you might be reselling them on the open market. It's entirely possible, but our aim is not to keep these short term, and that's probably the important thing to mention here, is that these are going to be with us for at least about 3 months or so, possibly 6 to 9 months. It just depends on where interest rates go in the United States, to be honest. The business line of credit is a variable interest business line of credit, so we're paying interest on these vehicles every day, so it's not like there's just a pile of cash around to burn. So that obviously has to factor into our decision-making process. But by the time they're sold, I suspect that the volume of production on Lightning and Rivian will be at a point where, honestly, the prices will be returning back to normal, and maybe we'll be lucky to sell them for MSRP, perhaps a little bit lower. I have zero intention to try and make some enormous profit on these trucks. Let me be really clear with that up front. Who knows, it may happen still in 6 months or 9 months. I have absolutely no idea, but that is absolutely not the intention for either of these vehicles. And there's going to be some wear on these trucks if we're doing any kind of really meaningful testing. You can see that over here on the Rivian, it's not exactly cherry. There is definitely some curb rash, or I should say brush rash, on the aero covers for the wheels. The wheels themselves, they're just fine, but rolling through some of the brush during our initial off-road testing of this Rivian, the aero covers definitely didn't make it out without a scratch. So that same sort of thing is likely going to happen to Lightning, and obviously that's going to affect their resale value long term. Anyway, hit the subscribe button, find me at Facebook, sister channels, check out the podcast if you haven't already done so. That's in coordination with Tim Masso from Watchbox. You'll find us on your favorite podcast platform, or of course the YouTube channel, Auto Buyer's Guide Podcast, if I could spit that out. See all of you later.